So this is part 2 of how to create a proportional circular area chart in Chart.js 4. What we're going to do now, we have now our basic setup ready. We're going to create a custom plugin. So I'm going to scroll down here, and then in the options, or at least below the options, we're going to create here, we will say here plugins, and I'm going to put an array, and we can say this can be our maybe the slice ratio or slice thickness. I would say slice ratio, but you can give it anything you want. So then put that in there. I'm going to say here the plugin block. Then I'm going to say constant slice ratio ID will be equal to slice ratio. Then I'm going to select here how or when would you like to draw this. I need to do some adjustments on the slice, basically the radius of the slice, so it will become smaller or larger depending on the value that we have assigned here, the ratio. So for this, what I want to do, of course, is I want to make sure it will draw before we draw anything, we first get this new value to draw the item. So I'm going to say here before we draw, before data sets draw, that's very important, we're going to start working on this. So we're going to say here chart arcs and plugins, and I'm going to say here we need here an object destructuring. We're going to do here a field. So we're going to say here constant, and I'm going to say here, by the way, if you don't know what an object destructuring is, I'm going to recommend you to check out my video, which is also in the description box, Understanding Chart.js Object Destructuring. Very, very useful. So what I'm going to do here, ctx, I want to have the data, I want to have the chart area. And in the chart area, I would like to have the top, the bottom, the left, and the right position. And probably, this will be later on very important, the configuration. And in the configuration, I want to grab the options. And the reason why I select these options, well, you will see later on, this will become very important. So later on, this will be, I'll cover that later on. Anyway, so what do I want or what do I need? I need some information here. First of all, I need to know the starting point here in the center. And right now I'm going to hide the plugin, but later on, or sorry, the tooltip, because it's kind of distracting. Later on, I will have to enable it again. So I'm going to say plugins, and don't get confused with the one here outside of the options and the other one inside the options. Then I'm going to say here tooltip, and then we say here enable equals false. Later on, I will use this because we still need to do something on there. Alright, so now we have this here, and that works all fine. So what I want to do is, I want to say here, I'm going to use here the specific built-in Chart.js functionality, which is the center. So I'm going to say here, chart, and I have a console log, so I will show you, chart get dataset meta index 0, but we do here with the parentheses because this is a built-in functionality. Then we're going to say a dot data point 0, is index 0, and if I save this, refresh, open up developer tab, you can see here we get all the arc elements, which is basically this donut slice or pie slice. And in here we can find the x and y coordinates, and later on this will be very important as well, but this x and y coordinate is exactly in the very center. This is important for later on because we need to calculate where the center is, and then after once we're going to draw it, we have a certain value difference, but don't worry about that. This center here, that's the one we need. So what I'm going to say here, .x, and I will make it very simple. I'm going to say here constant, and I'm going to say here the x center equals that, and I'm going to say constant y center equals the y. And I guess since we already talked about the outer radius, and the outer radius is very important because that's this part here. That's basically the outer radius. And maybe if you find the inner radius, you see the value of 0. Why the value of 0? Because it's basically hitting the very center of the x. So it calculates in a certain way, and it understands that this very point here is the starting point of the entire circle. So what I want to do then, of course, is only grab the outer radius. So I'm going to say here, outer radius. And Oh, I realized that maybe we don't even need to have this. Well, I'll just put it in there just in case, but I think we don't even need this one, so I might get ahead of myself. Anyway, we have this. In the next video, we're going to start applying and making sure that this outer radius starts to adjust.